Hello, everyone, and welcome to Consciousness is Sexy. I am your host, Patty Alfonso, and today's topic is what distractions are you using to avoid the creations that you could be choosing? And it's been really interesting. I've been playing around with this for a little bit now, because I usually have a lot of ideas and creations in my universe that I'm playing with all of the time. And I noticed a particular creation. I actually just released it on Facebook, and it's on my website. It's the Head Tripper's Guide to Creating Beyond the Mindfuck. And I'll put the link when I share the video later. But what I noticed with this particular creation, and granted it was about head tripping, what I noticed was all of the different ways in which I choose distraction rather than creation. And I was looking at this a little bit deeper today before the show, and I was like, okay, what are those things that I use to distract myself? And I looked at Facebook, can be quite a huge distraction. Feelings can be a distraction in terms of getting wrapped up in our feelings and emotions and in the trauma and drama of those feelings and emotions, and that can take you out of the energy of creation. Sometimes I use organizing to distract myself from creating. I love organizing things. I like things to be organized and pretty, and what I've been noticing is with my creations and the ideas that I have, there's a space in which, like, I perceive the idea, I'm aware of what I want to create, and then like, oh, okay, cool. And then I ask some questions and I do my thing with my creations. I call it communing with my creations. And then I promptly, occasionally distract myself. And I go over here and I go over there. And organizing is definitely one of those ways in which I do that. And then there's times where I create the idea just as an idea, as an energy. And in Access Consciousness, we call it a Pico universe, where you create something and you think it all out and you create it in your mind, and then you never actually bring it into actualization, into this reality. And so I wanted to play with this show and with that energy of being distracted. And what is that? And what choice can you make today to get out of the distraction and into action? And that's actually a question that has been helping me a lot recently, is like, what action can I take today, right now, that will create this right away, is what I like to ask myself. And every day I'm looking at, what action can I take today? Because creating something, there's a lot of different energies that are in that. One of them is being. Who are you being? Who are you willing to be? What energy, what being do you need to step into in order to bring the creations that you've come here to create into the world? So there's the energy of you as a being and who you are and what you are here to create. That is a big part of creation. And then there's also the doing and the actualizing and the bringing it into fruition kind of energy, where you actually have to take some action steps and institute things in order to literally bring them into this reality. And so I had been kind of playing with just looking at all of those different energies, and what came up for me today was, we talk a lot about this in Access Consciousness. So there's generating, creating, and instituting, which I kind of just went over. So there's, when I have an idea, or when you have an idea, there's an energy that is being generated with that particular idea, right? And in that time, there's just an energy that's being generated. There may not be anything to do in that moment. And then there's the energy of creation and asking questions and getting a sense of what you're creating and what your creation wants to be in the world, and all of that that comes with that. And then there's instituting, which is the doing part. You know, what graphics. And for me, I mean, I create classes and I do this kind of stuff. So for me, the questions are, what does the graphic want to look like? And what are the ways in which I want to put this out into the world? You know, do I want to do a Facebook post? Do I want to call up some people? Do I want to send an email? So those are all things that we do to institute. And in all of that is the energy of you and who you're being, and who you're being in the world, and who you're being when you're creating. There's times, like I personally, I have my moments, I think we all do, where, you know, I'm distracting myself or I'm creating crap or whatnot. And I don't tend to create as much during those times. When I'm not being all of me and I'm not being that exuberance, that nurturing, that caring, that when I'm not being me, then I don't usually create as much, because when I create from that space of bleh, then it doesn't actually create much. It doesn't generate anything. So I really do play with following the energy of what I'm being in that moment. And so going back a little bit to the things that are distracting us, I was always also looking at like the time. You know, if I'm spending all this time on Facebook or on organizing things or on, you know, creating trauma and drama and getting hooked on feelings and all of that, really, even for you, like, what are the things that you use to distract yourself? And how much time are you spending on those distractions? And how much time could you be spending with your creations? And whatever that is for you. I mean, your creation could be a class that you're creating. It could be, you know, what you're creating with your business. It could be what you desire to create in a relationship. It could be any myriad of things. What are the things that you are creating in your life, and how much time, and I'm using that word loosely, this word of time, because time likes to play tricks sometimes. Time and I aren't such good friends. I'm always losing track of time, and I don't know what day it is, and some, you know, anyway, that's a totally different, maybe I'll do that next week. So how much time are you spending nurturing, communing with the things that you would like to create in the world, whatever that may be for you? So I'm going to go ahead now and open it up to see. We've got people from Austria, from Spain, and Canada. Welcome, everybody. I want to open it up and see what questions you have about this particular topic and what it is that you would like to play with in the rest of the time. Time. That's interesting. I keep using that word. How does it get better? So let's do this. Hi, everyone. What's up? So does anyone have any questions? So Shruti, India, welcome India. I think you must be in India, I'm guessing. Wonder what questions I can ask to be the magic with the business, money, clients, and with your body. So yeah, what questions can you ask? I love the what energy, space, and consciousness can me and my body be kinds of questions. I really have a thing for including my body in everything that I'm creating. So those what energy, space, and consciousness can me and my body be questions, I love them. So I'm always asking, like, what energy, space, and consciousness can me and my body be for all of this to come to fruition with total ease? And then you use the access consciousness clearing statement. What energy, space, and consciousness can my body and I be to perceive, know, be, and receive what's required with total ease? I also really love the perceive, know, be, and receive questions. For me, they get me out of thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And, what's coming up is I remember, when I had the awareness of the book that I wanted to write, and I tried so many different methods that everybody was recommending on how to write a book. And, there's the set time aside every day for an hour and just write and do this. And so I tried that, and that didn't really work for me because, I can't sit down for an hour to do anything because, I'm totally obsessive OCD and all that, ADD and all that. So that didn't really work. So then it was like, sit for 15 minutes every day and write just for 15 minutes. And well, that didn't work because none of what other people were recommending was working. And so I had to ask myself and my body, okay, what is it going to take for this to come to fruition with total ease? And what worked for me personally was renting an Airbnb somewhere for 2 weeks and then just diving in. No other distractions, no communication with anyone. It was just me, my body, the beach, and the book. Like that was it. And that is actually what really worked for me. And I ended up writing it in like 5 days. So the point of this particular story is to invite you to really look at what is going to work for you. And these are questions that you got to ask yourself. We're all so different in the ways that we be in the world. And we're so different in the ways in which we create. And you got to find what is going to work for you and for the creation. Because you got to include the creation in that as well. It's not just you. What's going to work for me and for my body? What's going to work, for the creation? What contribution can consciousness be? What contribution can the universe be to this creation? So really, this is a beautiful, in my interesting point of view, a beautiful invitation into the exploration of what it is for you and what that looks like for you. Patricia says, what are some questions I can ask to stop giving energy to those things that no longer contribute to me? How do I just let it go? Amazing question. And the question that I've been using a lot is, first of all, aggressive presence. You got to get really, 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 really aggressively present with you and aggressively present with what you're choosing. And then ask yourself, am I distracting myself with this? Am I distracting myself? And I'll give you an example. So with the, what's the name of my thing that I just created? The Head Tripper's Guide to Creating Beyond the Mindfuck. I had this idea like a few weeks ago, and I was talking about it in this, and I was, it was generating, and then there was some creation stuff. And then when I went to institute it, I promptly distracted myself with buying a car. And my friend was going to buy a car, and she was like, come with me. And I was like, okay. And then I went with her, and I got so excited and so wrapped up in the energy. I was like, I'm going to buy a car too. So then I bought a car, and, that took hours and hours. And then I got home and I was tired, and I was like, well, tomorrow I'll finish it. And then I got up and the car wasn't working. So then I had to go and, have the car towed and return it and have it fixed. And then I had to go back and pick it up. And then, I brought it back home, and then I woke up this morning and it didn't work again. And then I was just like, fuck this, I'm just returning it. So I returned the car. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this was such a distraction from what I was creating. Because when I finally was like, okay, that's it. I'm choosing this. I'm going to create it now. I got it done, and I had been working on it, but I got it done in like an hour. I put it out, and it was amazing. I think it's amazing and a huge success, and a ton of people have chosen it. So this is also something that I became aware of when I'm creating something that is actually going to create something different in the world. Then more distractions pop up, more stuff shows up to deal with. So am I distracting myself with this creation? And what is that? What change? That's not very clear, so I'm not going to go there. Okay, but you get it. What are you creating that is going to create such a change that there's a distraction to stepping into that? Does that make sense? Yes, I think so. Cool. Any other questions? Rocio, you said also family, but do you want to say more about that? She's like, no, yes. Do you want me to unmute you?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, see. I got it now. What's up?
Okay.
So
okay.
What is that?
No, I was just saying, because you were mentioning everything that, that we can get distracted. And I said, to me, also family. Family, it could be like, just because I don't have a job like somebody else in the family, that they have to be an 8-hour job and mine it's my own time, they think that I'm not doing anything. So they, all of a sudden, an emergency ride comes up. It's like, Rocio, can you take me? Or a doctor's appointment, or my mom, or my aunts, or, and to me, I noticed that it's a lot of distraction for me, for my creations. It's also the family.
Totally. And my friend, if I had really, and this is, back to the aggressive presence, if I had really been aggressively present, aware with myself, when my friend asked me to go with her, I was literally working on it. And I was like, sure, avoiding, avoiding the creation, not very kind to my creation, I'm so sorry. But if I had really been aware in that moment, I would have really just, said, actually now it's not a good time. And the thing is, you guys, that choice creates, right? Had I not chosen to go to the car and buy the car and deal with the car and return the car and all of that, I wouldn't have become even more aware of this particular sort of quote unquote pattern that I sometimes choose of distracting myself from creating. So what if there was nothing wrong, right? And and then the thing that came up was, what if we could have gratitude for everything? So I was totally grateful that I got distracted, because then I was able to become aware of that. Yes. So choice creates every moment. Every choice is going to create something. What energy, space, and consciousness can we in our bodies be to be totally grateful for everything? Create. And anything that doesn't allow that, let's destroy and uncreate that. Right? Good and bad, POC and POD, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. That's the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. If you're listening to this somewhere else in the world in the future, for more information about that, you can go to theclearingstatement.com. So how does it get better? And now Rocio, now you're even more aware. Wow, my family sometimes can be a distraction for me. So when those moments come up, are you willing, because this also came up, like, are you willing to choose for you?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I wanted to be there for my friend. I wanted to go with her. I could perceive that there was an energy that she required of me, and I wanted to be there. But friends are also a distraction for me sometimes.
Yes.
I care so much and I so want to be there that I totally distract myself from me. And that's not cool either. That's an interesting choice, right?
Yeah.
So in those moments when people are pulling on you and desiring or wanting or demanding something for you, being aware of that energy and then being willing to choose for you. So
thank you.
Better. Thank you.
How
does it? Wonderful to see you here.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any other questions? How does it get better? Hi, my friend, Christine. What's up, girl? Cool. So what else?
How do I ask a question?
Oh, is that you, Christine?
Yeah.
Cool.
Can you hear me?
I can.
So, yeah, what you're saying is really interesting because being self-employed, I'm self-employed and 2 kids, and there's so many things that are always pulling me in so many different directions. And to actually stay focused and have your boundaries with other individuals in order to make my companies, my work grow is what I'm finding really challenging, and taking care of myself.
Totally. So, well, the question that comes up, and Christine, so a lot of the tools that I play with, you may or may not be aware of this, are the tools of access consciousness. And so the question that comes up with your particular situation is asking the question like, what will this create? What will this create for me? Is this going to create something greater for me? Or is this going to be nuts? You know, like, and then what we do with access is that you ask the question and you gotta step into the energy of it, right? So if it's light and expansive, to choose that and to go in that direction, then that is what is gonna create more. Now, if you're, someone's pulling on you or whatever, and it's kind of heavy, right? If it's a bit of an energetic contraction, then that isn't what is going to create more for you. Now, I get it. You're a mom and you have kids, and there's all these things that need to be handled with your family. And how much time and energy are you spending on what is going to create more for you and for your life? And then being aware that the places in which you choose for you will actually create more for everyone else around you. So some of the questions, and you may want to go through some of the other Consciousness is Sexy shows, because I've done a bunch. There's a playlist on my YouTube channel if anyone wants to go check it out. And in all of those, there's actually, I think I did a few shows on family and how creating that and being present with those energies and what those energies are. But there's a ton of questions in all of those shows that could probably be a contribution. So in Access Consciousness, we ask a question and we perceive the energy. Is it light? Is it heavy? What is this going to create? And then we choose based on the energy. And then there's also what I was talking about before, about when you choose something, that also gives you an awareness of, it was fun and light to go, get the car with my friend. And then once I chose the car, then the energy changed. Now it was just problems. And I was like, oh, this isn't, so then I allowed myself the space to change my mind and just return it and, create something different. So you follow the energy, what's light and expansive. And then if you make a choice and the energy changes and it's heavy and it's not quite as easy, then you got to look at what other choices you can make in that moment. And for you, I would just say, especially with kids and everything, to create that space for you that is just for you. When they're at school or, whatever, that space of like, are you, like I'm talking about creating with your, communing with your creations, like how much time do you spend communing and being with you and looking at what is going to create more for you. Cool. Awesome. Any other questions, my lovelies?
Hi.
Hi.
I just got a question.
Yes.
On your talk today. What energy, space, and consciousness can me and my body be to be always aggressively present and not get distracted from myself, to choose for myself?
Awesome.
So sometimes I get into the doubt of, am I making the question in the right way? Am I creating the question in the right way?
Right. Well, then what is doubt? It's a distraction.
Action, yes.
Doubt is a distraction from creating. It's a distraction from you. Doubt is something that is specifically designed to get you out of being you, get you out of distraction. It's designed to put you into the wrongness of you. So whenever that doubt comes up, I mean, look, asking questions is also a practice. This is definitely not anything that we're taught in this reality. We're taught to look for answers. So asking questions is a practice, and you play with the energy of the question, and you play with the words until it just kind of pops, you know. And if you've taken a foundation class and you have a foundation manual, that thing is full of questions. And even if you've just taken a bars class, and these are all the core classes with Access Consciousness, even if you've just taken those classes, those two manuals are filled with questions that you can use. And even just the question of this show, what distractions am I using to avoid the creations I could be choosing? And allowing yourself to become aware of that energy, right? We just ask the question to receive the awareness, not to get an answer. And when I asked that question and let it go, when I created, you know, the sort of title for this show, I was just really present with all of that energy. And then I became more and more present with the things that I am using to distract myself. But I love that. What energy, space, and consciousness can be in my body be to be aggressively present. I would just make it shorter. What energy, space, and consciousness can me and my body be to be aggressively present for all eternity. And anything that doesn't allow that, destroy and create it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyond. We try to, you know, Gary Douglas, who's the founder of Access Consciousness, did a call, I think it was last year, on, it was facilitating a facilitator to facilitate something. It was like a really funny kind of title. And he talked about how we make our questions so complicated and how we put the answer in the question sometimes. You know, so the simpler and the less conclusion or decision you have in the question, then the more open to the energy of possibility you can be. You know, so if you're trying to make it really long and really complicated, then you may just want to just tweak it and make it short, simple, easy, and fun.
Patty,
yes.
Could I add something to that?
Yes.
Well, I found it sometimes quite, let's call it tiring, to just repeat the mantra every morning. Mm-hmm. So I've just started to ask then, what energy, space, and consciousness can I and my body be to have more of me? And the most magical thing showed up, because now I'm singing it in the morning and it's friggin' awesome. And since then, so much stuff shows up. I go to the shop, the skirt costs in the sale now 20 euros. Oh, the guy looks at my face and says, have it for 5. I think about bath salts. My sister comes and has a spread of 6 bath salts there for me tonight.
So what was your question, Claudia? It was what energy? Tell me again about
space and consciousness. Can I, my body, be to just have more of me?
Yes, and this is exactly what I was talking about when it comes to creation. That being and being you is a huge part of that. So that is a beautiful question. Thank you so much for sharing that. What energy, space, and consciousness can me and my body be to be all of me? How simple that is. And when you ask the question and you just stay open, then the universe can gift you with all kinds of possibilities that you maybe wouldn't have been aware of. But that energy of being you, just being you in the world. You know, that book that Dr. Dane here wrote, Being You, Changing the World, like, you know, it's getting traction. It's creating something in the world, and it's all about, you know, getting to that space of who you truly be. And from that space, creating total ease. I did want to say, because Claudia mentioned the mantra, and some of you may not know, the Access Consciousness mantra, which she got tired of saying it, but if you would like to try it, if you say it like 10 times in the morning, 10 times whenever you can throughout the day, then it will actually shift energetically a lot of things in your life. And the mantra is, all of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory. And so sometimes, it's just a matter of all of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory. All of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory. And it's opening that space for all of life, everything that is occurring and everything that is being created, for all of it to come with ease, joy, and glory, even the things that may not be as fun as we think they should be. So,
Patty, what I also found is that I put a lot of pressure on myself of wanting to get the questions right.
Yeah.
And when I sort of gave up on that, and I just said, look, it's okay. It just came out of my mouth singing the mantra.
Yeah.
So it made it so much easier. And now the magic is there, and it's a sensation in my body, and that brings in joy, and that generates more, and it actualizes more of what I'm asking for, because it's not the question as such to get it absolutely perfectly right. Just get the energy of it, and just say, okay, it's like a butterfly. Just go, come back.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So, my lovelies, thank you so much for being here. Consciousness is sexy. I'm going to say for now, every Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern, and I'm perceiving that may change and be different times at different days. I'm not sure yet, but for now, tune in every Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. I do have a few creations brewing about creation and communing with your creations and the pleasures of creating with ease, if you'd like to come play with me with those. So thank you so much for being here. I'll put the link to the Head Trippers Guide when I share the video. If you haven't seen that yet, I'd love for you to check it out. It was a lot of fun to create, along with all the head tripping that came along with it. So you guys have an amazing day. I adore you. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye.